ahead and start the recording. I want to make sure my screen is big so that those of you all who have your cameras on, I'm able to see you. But take what you need. Take what you need. Do what serves you well in this session. I'm so grateful that you all are here. Happy Thursday, everyone. Happy Thursday. I am so excited that you all are able to join in to the campfire here at the Community Restorative Justice Hubs, where I serve as the Community Restorative Justice Manager. We have been so excited to really put this series out. We've had about 4 to 5 sessions so far. So here we are at the campfire. You want to know why we call it a campfire, you all? Well, we know that a campfire really is a place of warmth. It's that place where we're able to bring our full selves and we're met with care. And just as we think about restorative justice, it's more than policy and practice. It's a place of gathering, of storytelling, of relationships. So this is our place of warmth, this moment right here. This is also our place where we get to tend embers, right? The small practices that keep our fire of justice and this work alive. This is also like a campfire in the place that it is for reflection, where wisdom gets to be shared across roles and generation and experiences. And just like a campfire where folks are seated in a circle, just as with restorative justice, it's a circle of voice. And I believe that everyone here on this call has something valuable to offer. So welcome to the Restorative Justice Campfire series, where today we're talking about that connection of faith, human rights, and restorative justice. Thank you all for being here. Now, I don't know about you all, but maybe this is the first moment in your day or your afternoon where you get to be intentional about your breath. I like to just sometimes put my hand on my heart and realize, wow, my heart is literally beating on behalf of me. It didn't need my mind or it didn't need me to like tell it to beat, but it is doing the thing. So I invite you just into a moment for you where you get to center yourself, center your energy, and really reflect in this moment of how you're feeling. Take this moment for yourself. If you're able to be fully present with yourself in this moment, I encourage you to take what you need, feel into your bodies, take what you need. And we will do a more formal check-in in a moment, but I want you to think about how you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being my absolute best, 1 being I don't know why I'm here, but I'm here. Like we can bring our full truths into this room. Think about how you're feeling. And what we're going to do, we're going to share it in the chat, but not right now. Just type it. Don't hit send yet. It's going to be like a rainfall. So get a number, put it in the chat, and when I count to 3, we'll all release it and we'll know how we're showing up, okay? Okay, I got my number. I wrote it in the chat. I'm going to count to 3, and we're going to release it in the chat, okay? 1, 2, 3. How are you? Release those numbers. You all, that's also my way of making sure that y'all are with me and you're paying attention, because that works. Okay. Take a moment. Sean, it's so good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Take a moment, you all, and just breeze through the chat for a moment. It looks like many of us are riding middle to high, and I am so, so grateful for that. We send energy, we send love to those of us who need it. We understand that we are living in very, very scary and unfortunate times. So I'm sending love and grace and presence. That's what we have today. Thank you all. Thank you for sharing how you're coming into space. That's so important to know and to feel. I want to tell you all a little bit more about who we are, the Community Restorative Justice Hubs. Well, we are a community-led collective that supports one another in order to transform lives and systems by advancing restorative practices. So you'll notice three big components in that mission statement. We support one another, we transform lives and systems, and we advance restorative practice. That is the core of what we do. Now, who are we? I shared that we're a collective, but basically, we are a network of community-based organizations across Chicago. They're at the bottom of your screen here. Also, Circles and Ciphers, Coco, New Life, Precious Blood, and Target area. And they are joined together with us here at Adler and our dear partner from the Circuit Court of Cook County. They are joined together to provide trauma-informed care, safe spaces, and opportunities for reconciliation, healing, and growth. Together, we're collaborating to build stronger, healthier communities through restorative practice. And we do this work because we truly, truly believe as a collective and as individual organizations that everyone deserves an opportunity to be safe and whole. If you wanted to know our vision is right relationship, right? Our vision is that we are all in right relationship with one another. So this is a little bit more about who we are. I'll make sure I share some links in the chat as we go along, but thank you for partnering with us in this work. We have some very cool things coming down the pipeline that we would love to invite you all to and encourage you to be a part of, like our restorative justice learning cohort that is coming up. If you yourself, a small plug, works at a nonprofit and you're like, wow, we really want to be this hub model. We really want to think about our HR systems. We want to think about our mission, our vision, how we build relationships from a restorative lens. This cohort will be for you. So stay tuned to learn more about it. Okay, now while we're here today, we are here together around the fire. I have a very beautiful poem and check-in for us. And then we're also joined with Michelle Day, who is going to guide us in a rich conversation on faith, human rights, and RJ. And please don't leave early because then you have an opportunity to share some small breakout rooms and really reflect on your organization's practice. And guess what? We'll end with some shared takeaways and some commitments to really carry this burning torch forward. I want to pause here and I want to ask, is there anything not on this agenda that you really came here hoping that we covered? Anything at all that's not on the agenda that you really want to cover? I'm going to write it down. Please, someone unmute. What made you join today? Why are you here? Does this cover it for you? Let me know. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to assume that this agenda fits us all. And I'm also going to trust that we'll ask our questions, share our comments, utilize the chat as we go forward in our time together. Thanks, everyone. All right, you all, let's gather around this fire and do some grounding reflection. I would love to invite 3 people. I need like 3 volunteers. Give me a hands up or something. We got 3 paragraphs to a poem, and I would love for you to help me to read this. Who's volunteering? Who's volunteering? Michelle, you're off mute. You're volunteering? Cool. All right, Reverend Marilyn, can you kick us off? And then Michelle, if you're able, can you get the second paragraph for me?
I'm actually not seeing. Oh, now I see it. Okay, sorry. The Small Work and the Great Work by Victoria Stafford. Once there was a great work to be done, and there were many people of good will and strong hearts who came to do what they could. They came to keep alive the memory of what was right and true.
Thank you. I have another volunteer.
I was assuming that was Michelle Hauser.
Yes, Michelle Hauser. I don't know if you're able to. I see you're unmute, Michelle Hauser. Let me know if you're able to read the next paragraph.
Oh, sorry.
All good.
It's the second paragraph, right?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. They wove threads of mercy and justice through the fabric of their days, small acts of repair, quiet gestures of hope, steady fires against the dark.
Thank you. Elena, I see you off mute.
They knew the work was not theirs alone, but part of something ancient, something unfolding still. And so they kept going, faithful in the small work that made the great work possible.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to give it a final reading all the way through, and I really want to encourage you to let your eyes sort of lean in on a word or phrase that resonates with you. Once there were a great work to be done, and there were many people of goodwill and strong hearts who came to do what they could. They came to keep alive the memory of what was right and true. They wove threads of mercy and justice through the fabric of their days, small acts of repair, quiet gestures of hope, steady fires against the dark. They knew the work was not theirs alone, but part of something ancient, something unfolding still. So they kept going, faithful in the small work that made the great work possible. All right, take a moment, let your eyes sort of glance on something here. And a check-in for us. I would love for a few of us to use the chat or unmute and share. What's one small work, whether that be an act of care, faith, or justice, that you've done or witnessed recently? One small work, care, faith, justice, that you've done or witnessed recently. Anyone can unmute and share, but also utilize the chat, please. Yeah, Michelle Day, I saw your hand.
There were thousands and thousands of people at the March on Grant Park last week. But the two things that really resonated with me was a group of people who were just on the corner that they had gathered with their instruments, and they were singing songs. They were singing songs of justice, and it inspired everybody as they walked by. But as I got on the train to go back home, there was a young man who was playing his guitar in the subway at the Red Line. And he had two stickers on his guitar. He was very talented, very talented. And one sticker said, "Pagans against white supremacy." And then the other sticker said, "Music is resistance." And there was just, these both were small acts in the midst of this great act, but they made a difference. They made a difference.
I love it. Thank you so much, Michelle, for raising that up and sharing that beautiful moment with us. Oh, no kinks. We don't need it. All right. What else? May I have a couple other folks brave enough to unmute and share that act of care, faith, or justice that you witnessed lately or recently? Yeah. Hey, Sean.
All right, hey there, Carlin.
Hey.
And good afternoon, everyone. So, um, and it's good to share space with people that I haven't seen in a while, and of course, those I've yet to meet. But hey, to my old friends and colleagues. So, for me, I would have to say, um, a new role since I've last seen people that I have in my life and that I love and it has demanded growth is co-parenting, co-parent, and I am co-parenting, and that is a verb that is in all caps, um, and underlined and bold and italicized, um, with an asterisk on it, and um, at times it is tense. you know, AF for those who know what that means. Um, and recently I just was like, I said what was needed to be said, at least what I thought was needed to be said, which was just a refresh of, of apologies and um stating that I'm open for conversations and hearing just, just starting another conversation that's necessary to keep peace, maintain peace, make peace the norm, and even a hope of joy. And um, man, has it made the difference. It's not the first time that I've, you know, this is there's many times, and it was just like um, the work that we all do refute. It makes it impossible to pass a final determination about someone's growth, my own growth, and what's possible for the future. We've witnessed healing and growth for so many years. It's just like a win. Will it happen? And and we all know this is what we do, not just at work, but just in our life. So that's what I would say. The A small act of care for myself, my co-parent, my daughter, faith and wholeness, that I've witnessed, and that um, I embodied and put into action. So it got my heart lighter, my feet lighter, the text messages are calmer. Goodness, it's made a big difference, and I'm grateful.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm stuck on this one thing you said, right? The work that we do makes it really hard to pass that final judgment, right? Like we start to like embody this restorative nature and want it in all of these aspects, definitely in co-parenting. So I appreciate you for naming that, sharing that. Blessings to your girl, your baby girl too, and your co-parent. And we have one other share. Anybody else want to share a small work of care, faith, justice that you've done or witnessed recently? Yeah, Emma.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet everybody. My name's Emma. I'm an intern here at Adler, and I'm currently in school. And the professor that I have recently had us all share poems about who we are and what made us ourselves. And then afterwards, he had us all get up and walk around the room and notice each other and look into each other's eyes and maybe give like a handshake or a hug, and just kind of be in community and see each other. And I think that was just a really meaningful moment to be in community, recognize the work that we're doing, but also like just, love on each other a little bit if we felt comfortable. And it was a nice moment to just, yeah, be around folks.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, that intentional reminder to see each other and also like really think about who we are and how we show up. I love it. Thank you so much. Awesome. I just found this to be such a great poem to ground us in the three big topics that we're covering today. The conversation around faith, human rights, and restorative justice. You all, I am so excited to introduce to some of you all and just be in celebration with those of us who already know Michelle Day very well, but the Reverend Attorney Michelle Day, the woman that wears so many hats, but also is the incredible director of Nehemiah Trinity Rising. I also just want to give a shout out to her because um, Michelle Day's work in particular has also helped the restorative justice hubs be who they are, grow over time, and she really adds that strategic lens into the work. So I'm so excited that today we are joined with her as she helps us to fuel these flames at our campfire around this conversation of faith, human rights, and restorative justice. I'm going to go on mute. I want to see if I can pin Michelle so that she'll be nice and big in the spotlight for all of us. And I'm going to turn it over to you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
first of all, thank you for the invitation. But as usual, in one of the hats that I wear, I have been privileged to serve with the Restorative Justice Hubs and learn so much at everyone's feet. Because I'm primarily wearing the hat of Nehemiah Trinity Rising in this presentation, I'm taking a vacation day from my main job. But the wonderful thing is that because restorative justice is about right relationships, then my work weaves through all the many hats that I wear. And I am so blessed for that. So I thank you. Um, we are I am with Nehemiah Trinity Rising, and we are a healing centered justice ministry. And I say healing centered justice because we kind of struggle with the term restorative justice and struggle with transformative justice because it is so much broader than the current narratives in those areas um, allow for us to think. And so Nehemiah, we use education, training, collaborative implementation strategies, and advocacy to create space for building right relationships, whether you're talking interpersonally, Mashawn, that was a wonderful testimony, or if you're talking systemically or structurally. And so in our work, we have become part of a collaborative of what is known as, if we could have the next slide, please,
Absolutely.
what is known as the interfaith collaborative for the intersectionality of faith, or you can call it love, human rights, and restorative justice. And the purpose of that collaborative is that we are looking through a lens of love or faith to use restorative and transformative philosophy and principles and processes to build relationships that are necessary to address systems and structures that are barriers to human rights. Now, that's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. But before we go on to break it down, I wanted to share with you some of the people who are part of the collaborator. I saw Reverend Marilyn Pagan Banks online. She is one of the main members of this collaborative with a Just Harvest. So shout out to her that she was able to make it today. Nehemiah Rising, I think many of you are familiar with Karen Lynn Morton, who's known to everybody as Lynn Morton, with Woman of God's Design, but also the Illinois Conference of the United Church of Christ and Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference. Those are some of the mainstays of this collaborative, but there are many more. But I just wanted to shout people out. So you have our purpose. And next slide. So let's kind of break down that intersectionality. We said, first of all, we have the intersection of love or faith, whichever one you want to call it. Love is really our faith in action. It's our faith in action. And it calls us and requires us to desire the same things for other people that we want for ourselves. So faith or love is the why. That's the why of what we're doing. Human rights are the what. Human rights activism recognizes that the full protection of the inalienable access every human has to the abundance of the universe through such rights as the right to education, the right to vote, free access to objective and true information, the right to be free from hunger. All of those rights are inalienable, and they are God-given or universe-given. Whatever your beliefs are, they rise and transcend above civil rights, which can be taken by whoever is in power at the time. So human rights are the what in that intersectionality. And finally, restorative and transformative justice or healing-centered justice, that is the how, because it emphasizes ways to address root causes of obstacles to people obtaining their rights or being in right relationship. It's about how we order our societal relationships interpersonally, systemically, and structurally to prevent barriers or to tear them down. Next slide. So we just talked about connection, the first connection being love. It's the soil, it's the roots. And it is the power to transform the world. We can talk philosophy and practice and processes all we want, but there has to be an overriding power that brings that all together. Next slide.
Yeah. Michelle, I want to pause here
Mhm.
too because your quote is so important. The guidance that you're taking here from like Universal House of Justice.
Mhm.
I would love to just to have a voice here. I would love to invite someone to read this quote, but I'm curious what you take when you hear this, Michelle Day, and I'm also curious if anyone else, if this is resonating with you when you talk about love and when you think about what it looks like. Is there a volunteer on here that will be open to reading it? Michelle Hauser, I saw you kind of move. Is that for you? Or anybody?
When you say Michelle, you have to
I
specify.
said Hauser at the end.
Okay.
Or anyone. Is there anyone available that can read this particular quote? Welcome, Rodney. I saw you jump in.
Yeah, I'll jump in and read it.
Thank
Loves my language, so yeah, this is perfect. All right, so it says ultimately the power to transform the world is affected by love, love originating from the relationship with the divine, love ablaze among members of a community, love extended without restriction to every human being. Yeah, when I think about this, I think that, love is the foundation. We start with love, we lead with love, we close out with love in all that we do, especially in a restorative space, right? I think that's the key to really making a restorative space really thrive and work is just to lead with love in the space. And, that's how we talk to each other. That's how we're listening to each other in this space. That's how we're treating our clients. That's how we're building with their families, if and then if we're having any struggles and I think if we're having any struggles in like building with our clients, it's probably because there's not enough love in there, right? And sometimes from a restorative justice lens, as a case manager myself, I have to understand at times, the family I might be working with may not have received love that day or in that particular instance, right? I might be the first person that's ever asked them how they doing, for that day or for that week, or actually checking on them or actually being in their home and not criticizing them or wanting to work with them and not treat them like a case, but treat them like the human being that they are. So I just think that, love is the only law. If we're starting with love, if love isn't in it, then we're not gonna have a chance, right? But it's on us to lead with love and learn while we're loving at the same time.
Yeah. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you, Michelle Day, for pointing us to this particular quote. I couldn't go past that.
So you note that in that quote, it expounded upon the fact that the love originates with the divine. It's emblazoned in the community, but it originates with the divine. And so there are many, many different types of coalitions, but this particular coalition recognizes that origination with the divine. And not any particular person's view of what is the divine or any particular religion's view of what is the divine. The wonderful thing that we recognize in this coalition is that, or this collaborative, is that across many of the world's religions and many of the faith traditions, it boils down to the same thing. And then I want to thank you, Rodney, for saying that it boils down to love. And so you see the quote, golden rule flowing through many of relationships. You have the Baha'i, which we just read, saying, blessed is he who prefers his brother before himself. You see Christianity saying, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And Judaism saying, what is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow man. That is the entire law. All the rest is commentary. You have Muslims saying no one of you is a believer until he desires for his brother, and I would add sister, that which he desires for himself. So all of these, whether you take them as they are, whether you say, they can be broadened to include gender, to include class, to include anything else. They boil down to don't want it for yourself if you don't want it for other people. Okay, so with that in mind, next slide. We have that intersection with human rights, and I've spoke to that earlier, that it's every person is born with rights, the same rights, and they cannot be taken away by people or governments. These rights are set forth in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the Convention on the Rights of the Child. They should be the basis of every relationship. Unfortunately, within the United States, our government has not signed off on these rights. But globally, we should recognize them for every person, and we should maintain a standard of treatment that recognizes this for every person. The next slide, please. And then finally, that intersection with restorative justice. We all know that it's processes and beliefs and practices that maintain these relationships, that ensure that everyone benefits from the rights that they were born with. So, having said that, next slide. And I'll end here because obviously we would like to have the benefit of your thoughts, but the journey so far has been one in which we have emphasized education at these intersections and training and implementation strategies. We have often used that lens of intersectionality in the advocacy work that we do. In fact, the Just Harvest of Reverend Marilyn and Nehemiah and other organizations were part of the advocacy work that ended with no money bail, ended with ending the money bond, and is currently working to maintain and to maintain and to obtain pretrial justice throughout the state of Illinois. Now, also one of the hub members, Matt DiMatteo of New Life, and another organization, Live Free, they're leading the advocacy around what's called faith over fear, that is battling bringing clergy and people of faith and people of no faith, no particular faith, together to tap into the power of the universe to battle what's going on here in Chicago and the state of Illinois with the occupation of our government. And it's all about collaboration. So we are using the power of the little to tap into the power of the great, to do whatever we can to make this world transformative and restorative. That's it. That's the work.
That is the work. Thanks, Michelle, for naming these. I'm curious. I have a question for our everyone on the call, but then Michelle, we do have a little bit of time. I'm curious if folks have questions for you too. But in you all's work, those of us on the call, where does your journey sort of intersect with this work, right? Are you leading out more so restorative justice, education and training? Are you at the crossroads of like important intersections of human rights topics and RJ and faith? Are you with a faith-based organization? So I'm curious, where do you see you all's intersection and where do you find yourself in the journey of this work? Yeah, Sean.
So I am very appreciative of this space. It's very rare that I get the opportunity. I put myself in a position to like sharpen iron with like-minded and practiced, like seasoned practitioners. So I appreciate what you're sharing today, um, Sister Michelle. I appreciate it. So on, and I'll say that I'll try to get to the point of my question, and I'm still processing how I feel. Um, so we know that we know restorative justice and and sometimes I don't even like using that language. There's so many meanings, but we know that this work is the circle process could be used as building culture. It is to be used as building culture. It is to be used as preventative. Um, and if and when there's an issue, we know we can, we have the relationship stamina um to commit to resolving. Doing that, like we know that so much so that that when I have contracts, before I even think about addressing issues, like my approach is to just build heart connections, deep heart connections, deep heart connections. So increase the value of the others so much so that the comfort that comes from lying is not like it's worth putting in the work to make sure we're in the right relationship because I care about you enough. All right. So like that came to me some years ago and that's transformed how I've done my contractual work and my trainings to the point where I'm at now where I feel like restorative justice practitioners, seasoned practitioners are almost like society's parents where like we know that we know best humbly. Yes, we're still students, but what I mean by knowing best is how Cheryl used to say, the more we know about someone, the harder it becomes to cause them harm. So why not put ourselves in the position to build as many heart connections as rapidly and authentically as possible? You know, and my so I like I'm gonna just put this in the circle and then step back and see where we go from there, even if it doesn't come out as a full question. But like when does our faith turn to knowing? And I know you, Michelle, I know you, Elena, like I know you all, and we've been around each other for years, but like I know at some point we was just like, just let us sit in circle. You know what I'm saying? Like we're trying to explain the philosophy to people who have never felt it, and we know that like you need to feel it, and like um and yeah, I'll pause there, but just like when does our faith turn into knowing? Because we know when we know something humbly, but we also know that like no, like this is actually the way is this will yield the result that we want, you know. Um because the No Kings Day, the people who want kings, that's like, we can see that as a current consciousness because the person post 50 circles might not want the king, or we might want a king. You know what I'm saying? Like what's possible So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm grateful for this space because I've been feeling burdened by like who else know better and when we gonna put it in practice. So to hear what you're saying, and what you're sharing with us is epic. And just yeah, when do we turn our faith into a sense of knowing, and how do we put them thousands of people in circles with the
Mhm.
people who think the others don't think how we think? Is that okay? How I'm saying what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is. May I take a stab at responding? And that would
Yes, yes, sister, please. Yes, yes, come on.
okay. Um, there are three things that we say when we are out here doing this visioned work. I won't call it work. I just call it mission. One thing is the wisdom's in the room. The other thing is when people know better, they do better. And then the final thing is we just sow seeds. It's the divine that brings the harvest. So I might want to say, I know the answer, but I don't know the answer. What I know is how to make space for people to find the answers for themselves with the leading of the divine. That's all I know how to do. So when we're doing this, we do much more than circle education, which is where we started. We try to start with giving people as much information about what it means to be in right relationship as possible. While we're in circle, we're learning in circle, we're getting a relationship, but we also talk about things like what is trauma? What might you be bringing to this circle that is keeping you from being in right relationship that is a result of the trauma that you've been through? What is a bias? What biases are you bringing that might be keeping you from being in the right relationship? Identity is different than what we all think of identity. It's more than being black and white. It's more than being black, white, or Latino, or male or female. It is about everything that makes up a person. And when we give that space for people to think broader than what they've thought before, then they come up with their answers. And it may not be the same answer that I have, but they come up with their answers. And the wonderful thing about inviting in the divine is that what I can't see is seen, you know. What I can't predict is predicted. So you're asking all the right questions. Um, I just think that the answers may be different than what we would have expected. Does anybody else have any thought on that?
Yeah, any other thoughts coming up? This is good. This is good. Heart connections. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a little thought. I mean, and I feel like I'm being more simplistic than Michelle, but I'll chime in. That I was thinking, like when you were talking at the top, Michelle Day, you were talking about how faith, the connection to love, and that there's a connection with faith, there's a connection to the divine, which builds a capacity for love. And for me, love equals connection. So it's like faith, love, and connection to our to um to each other, that we belong to each other. So if we believe that there is divine in each person and that each person is deserving of love and respect, that we respond to each other with authentic connection, that the divine in me sees the divine in you or can connect with the divine in you. So that's kind of, I think that, like Michelle, when you were talking about, well, what is all this going to happen? I mean, it's not just about getting people in circle. It's about propagating this idea that we belong to each other, that we are all worthy of respect and love, and that we respond to each other there first. And of course, it's been very frustrating because in the popular culture, there's been so much division. And the way that we get our information responds to an algorithm of what team you're on, right?
Mhm.
And all of that is such distraction for us to dig into these kinds of facets of identity. But in truth, if we have faith that there is divinity in each of us, that each of us is worthy of love and respect, that our orientation is that of connection.
It's beautiful.
All right.
It's beautiful. I love it. I want to give us
Wait a minute. Reverend Marilyn has put in something. Oh, that's lovely.
yes, we are each other's harvest. That is so true. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Um, I want to give us an opportunity to talk amongst each other in some small groups to learn a little bit more about the work that you all do and how you see these intersections. So, if you all are for it, I am going to invite you into a breakout room, and I would love for you to have some conversations around a small action that you yourself, because this work is also deeply personal, right? We're often called to do our own mirror work, to look ourselves in the mirror and see where these connections lie. So, what's a small action that you can take or your organization to really deepen this connection between faith, human rights, and RJ? Everybody got that question? We understand it. We're rocking with it. I want to give us about 7-8 minutes to chat here. If for whatever reason you do have to hop off and leave and you can't hear announcements, I want to encourage you to take the survey that Emma put in the chat. That way we can stay connected with you. You also will get this recording afterwards, because I would love to stay connected with you. But for those of us who are here and committed to the conversation coming, I want to assign some breakout rooms now, and we will have an opportunity to chat. Thank you, Elena, for dropping that in the chat for us. Here we go. I'm opening them now. Welcome back from those group chats. We know that Zoom time is really not real time. Like 5 to 8 minutes in Zoom time is just, it's not real time. We have 4 breakout rooms. I would love to hear from at least 4 people, maybe one person from each room, maybe sharing some takeaways. What's some actions that you all discussed, whether personal or organizational, to really help to deepen that connection for you all within faith, human rights, and RJ. I know that Emma, Tom, and Michael Freeman were in one room. I'm curious if any of you would like to share what came out of your conversation.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Michael had some really great points about um the work that he's doing at Youth Build and like keeping people engaged and just like, making sure that they feel that they know that they're, cared for, you you know, and just yeah, keeping people connected to the organization in some way. I thought that was really cool.
I I love it. You all are reminding me of the community restorative justice hubs, one or two of our pillars being radical hospitality and accompaniment, right? And what that really looks like to really walk hand in hand and not just from a transactional surface level. I'm here when you need that one thing, but that deep engagement that then shows up as a way of like, hey, I'm walking in faith with you. I'm right here. Thanks for naming that. I also know that Erica, Jessica, and Rodney were in a room. I don't think Rodney is on a call anymore, but I'm curious if Erica or Jessica want to share any takeaways from your conversation.
Yeah, I can speak quickly, but I think I have a question that came up from our conversation, because we're both working with clients who basically like don't have their basic needs being met right now, or their basic needs are being threatened. And so it's hard to really have restorative justice conversations or actions that, I receive training to do when someone is in crisis, right? And so I'm curious to know, like what restorative justice looks like in these moments where it's like, how can I talk about these things when, you're literally fighting for your survival. Your house is on the line. Where are you going to live tomorrow? What's going to be the meal that I eat like a couple hours from now,
Yeah.
May I respond to that?
Yeah, I have some thoughts too. Go ahead.
Okay. I forgot who said it, but but he was basically saying, let your life be a sermon and sometimes use words, you know? So in other words, you can't let somebody or think that somebody's going to hear your message unless you're meeting their needs first. I can't hear your message if or the message. It shouldn't be your message, but I can't hear any message whatsoever if I'm hungry. I need to eat. If I'm homeless, I need to feel some way of being secure. So to your point, if somebody is in crisis, we have to address that crisis, you know, and it's through addressing the crisis that we are showing that we want to be in relationship. It's in addressing the crisis that we are connecting with that person.
Mm. Thanks for naming that, Michelle. Yeah, I mean, you have me thinking a lot about the work that the hubs do, right? And if I'm honest, a lot of the work is rooted in crisis. I don't think there's a moment for any of these 6 organizations. And if you throw Michelle's work in there, whether it be with Nehemiah or with the courts, I don't think there's a day where they're doing this work and everything feels good. I don't think there's a day where they're doing this work and there's not a need for like crisis work and RJ to really be breaded or braided together. I think meeting immediate needs like housing and safety and food and mental health, that's justice work, right? So it looks like I need to be in relationship with you, not even just to say like, hey, we need to do this other thing, but in relationship with you enough for you to even acknowledge or bring to the table that you have this lack or this particular need. That's relationship in itself. And then to be able to do the deep work of accompaniment, even if it's to say, hey, our organization is not well funded to do this thing, but I'm going to accompany you, right? And I'm going to build those organizational partners around us who can also support in getting you what you need. So it's lots of accompaniment. It's lots of let's build our network to make sure you have it, and lots of check-ins and real conversation. I feel deeply inspired by New Life right now, who had actually decided because of, funding, they had lost some major funding that allowed them to support newcomers. And because of what's happening with ICE and federal agents, they've had to respond in a very rapid response crisis way to say, nope, we need to use a portion of this building that we already have for our food pantry and turn it into some rapid response work. So a long way of saying that is like, yes, it is discouraging when this is the fight and people's basic rights and human rights are being violated? And also, how do we see restorative justice as an approach to relationship building, partnership building, to stand in the gap when those things are not there? I said a
All
lot. I'm
right.
curious
Now,
if
yeah,
that
that's a
resonates.
lot.
Yeah. Curious if that resonates, Jessica, or if anyone else has another perspective in the room.
No, that's really helpful. Thank you. Because I think like as I'm doing this more, it's really, and just with everything that's happening around us, particularly in our own city, is just, I think, expanding what my ideas of restorative justice is. And it
Yeah.
is a lot of more of like the accompaniment that feels more like case management versus me. I'm used to more doing the like mental health counseling role. But I'm seeing the shifts and the pivots that are needed in order to allow people to feel heard and feel loved, because that's the thing that cultivates connection.
Mm, thank you
If
for
I
sharing.
might say one thing, and Carlin and I had talked about this earlier, and I forgot to bring it up, but people who are working from the space of faith traditions, as well as people who are RJ practitioners, have to be very careful that we don't become proselytizers, so that we are not saying you must listen to this message or this is the message that you must get, so much as we are opening space for people to, as I said before, to share their wisdom and share their needs and allow for the wisdom in the room to meet people at their point of need. So we have to be careful that we don't come with the thought of I have the answers or I have the solutions, so much as I'm opening space and I'm trying to meet people at their need. Bye, Rodney. Thank you.
Yeah. I also know that Elena, Jasmine, and Sean were in a group together. Any major takeaways from you all's conversation?
So I'll say something briefly, real quick, just to contribute another perspective to the last conversation. I love what you just said, Michelle Day, as far as allowing that wisdom to be in a room and for that wisdom to come from the person that's, I'm gonna say, that has the processing piece in their hand, or like the client or the person that's in that sense of crisis. Um, because responding restoratively for someone who provides the process is
Mm.
is I'm uplifting. I hope I'm not mansplaining. But just for someone who provides the process could be holding space, silence, um, after the immediate needs have been met, yes. And but just holding space, silence, what we already do when we are providing the process, and doing it in spaces that aren't formal circles, So yeah, I'll pause there. And I don't know if Elena, I don't know who else is gonna respond to our breakout room. I was not going to.
I think there's a couple of things I could say about the breakout room. One was Vashan talking about how we just need to make time and space for more authentic connection through circles. I I think it was great because Mashawn has been modeling that so well in this whole example of just deepening every conversation. So I appreciate that. And also, one of the things is just when we were talking about deepen the connection of faith, human rights, and restorative justice, is how important it is that faith not be about exclusivity, but inclusivity, and affirming, connection, no matter who you are. And that was, I think, a point that we shared.
Thank you. Thank you, Elena and Jasmine and Sean, for contributing. Okay, so I got the master list. So I also know that Aaron, Denise, and Michelle Day share space together. Any big takeaways from you all's group?
I'll leave it to Denise or Erin to speak to that.
Um, yeah, I can go unless Denise has something she's welcome to contribute as well. Um, we I mean, number one, we shared resources to connect, to stay in touch, but we talked about I liked Denise's point about talking about working with clients and kind of like helping guide them through their process in I believe she was at the juvenile detention center, but um, also you know, just for me expanding knowledge, and I'm a social work intern, so expanding my knowledge of how that can be incorporated in my work and in different you know, different areas, like completely different roles that people have.
Thank you, Erin. What a beautiful conversation. And go social workers. Okay, that's just my little personal shout out. I'm so grateful for all of these conversations that we got to share with one another. Michelle, I have a fun question for you. You think you got this? You got this? Because we didn't prep on this one, but I'm so curious. Can I
Okay,
get
so I'm gonna do one of those Weasley, oh, I'll try. You know? Go ahead.
okay, so I mean, your work, it spans from so many different intersections, right? When we talk about legal and RJ and human rights, all of the things. When you imagine a world where faith and rights and restorative justice or restoration are seamlessly connected, what is at least one ritual or practice that you would like to see in that world? Like, what's something that grounds you, that feels like it makes that connection of all three come alive? What would you like to see?
Reaching for the divine, reaching for the divine. I don't know, for some people that's prayer, for some people that's meditation, for some people that's something else. But for me, it is if I can reach for the divine first, then I can really kind of slow myself down enough to hear what might be the right answer for this particular action or this particular whatever. So it's reaching for the divine. And for me, that's prayer first. It's like, because I know I have a reactive mode, you know, I'll slap you in a moment, you know, but that's clearly not the right response. So the response needs to be slow it down and reach for the divine so that you can see, as Elena said earlier, the divine in others and the divine in the answer to the moment. So
Oh,
thank you.
that's so beautiful. Reach for the divine. You know, I said I wasn't getting any more tattoos, but I think that would be a nice little quote. I'm curious if anyone else wants to share what rituals or practices are holding you all when you think about this work. I agree, Michelle Day, like prayer is that practice for me. Being in circle, like that is not just a practice that shows up at work and in the work that I do. That's at home when me and my kiddos have had a day and we are in circle. Like that is a practice. What other practices are holding you all for your faith, human rights, and RJ journey? And if that feels too big of a question, I would love to just know, what are you taking away today? Feel free to unmute and share or use the chat.
I'll go. I gotta hop off too. So I guess I'll say, and I'm having fun. And it's like I'm hugging, I'm hugging everybody, but the people that I know, I'm really hugging. For me, it's real simple. I'm gonna just say circles. I would love to see the circle process. We all know circles, indigenous cultures, but like when from my experience, my travels, my research, and those who I've submitted myself to, that like indigenous practices, like the culture is the total counter our culture. In the West, there's scarcity, competition, and individualism, and then the indigenous, as we all know, abundance interdependence and just oneness, So I feel like the circle process, it does just that. Um, Taps into we like ourselves, we love ourselves, and then we can see the divine in ourselves. Um, yeah, and I don't know any other process that is time efficient like a circle process that would make people who believe the illusions of separation, like to remove that. And like we're left with the truth of oneness, laughing with someone who, just, yeah, yeah. So across all man-made barriers, I don't know nothing more powerful than a circle process. But yeah, circles in the park, circles at the club, circles at church, you know what I'm talking about? So circles at the barbecue, and yeah, and
It's
I
the club
close with
for
that.
me. It's the club for me. Let's
Yeah,
plan it.
at the club, I was like, oh my God.
Here's the
Oh
circles at the
yeah.
club. Yeah, thank you. Elena, you had beautiful contribution too, slowing down to make more opportunities for genuine connection. Thank you all. It's my hope that we all get to leave here with something. Please share your feedback on this training, on this workshop. It ain't even that, like on this campfire, on this engagement, on this connection, right? And I also want to share some really cool opportunities that's coming up. And I want to share a couple flyers in the chat as well. Please know us here at Adler, we are so committed to walking alongside organizations who are doing the work. Right. So we are building out a model to serve as consultants for you all. If you have questions or you're curious around how do I embed this more deeply into my work, I want to have some conversations with my staff around these intersections. We're here. We love training. We'll come out to you. Or even if you just want to reflect on what this was like for you, my email is there. Send me a message. Let's talk about it. The other opportunity, if you are in the Chicagoland area, there is so much happening in the month of November that I really want to encourage you to take part in. One of them I dropped in the chat. I'm going to start with that because it's November 2nd. A Just Harvest are having their third annual Freedom Concert, and they're titling it Boots on the Ground and Fire in Our Hearts, a daily practice of joyful rebellion. I definitely encourage, if you are local, if you're in Chicago, stop by, be a part of this celebration. And then talk about the work that faith leaders are playing in this. New Landmark Missionary Baptist Church on November 13th and 14th are hosting Courage to Love. And this is a journey to a healing-centered organization. So really, there you go. The entire intertwinedness, the connectedness of today's topic is going to be happening at New Landmark. So I encourage you to stop by. One of our hubs, Precious Blood Ministry of Reconciliation, on November 14th, they're hosting a restorative justice convening. And in particular, if you are interested in thinking about the court system and young people and where the connections lie and where the possibilities are at, I encourage you to reach out to me, reach out to Precious Blood and get more information because we will be in person on that day really having this conversation. Okay, lots of things. But on top of that, if you like this campfire, register in advance for our next one. It's going to be November 19th. That is a Wednesday. And we will be talking about restorative justice and community safety. I'll be sure that everyone has this as well.
How do you get more information about Courage to Love?
Courage
to Love is a collaborative between folks in the Auburn Gresham community, Advocate Center for Community and Health Transformation, Nehemiah Trinity Rising. We are using the new Landmark Missionary Baptist Church facility. As Carlin and I were talking about, the church facilities are wonderful for free community events, but they're not hosting it. It is that collaborative. And during those 2 days, we're teaching how organizations can become trauma informed and RJ informed, but it is not training so much as it is awareness building.
I love it. Thank you. And that flyer is also in the chat. It's the very first one I dropped. I'll give it a little heart so we can find it. But so many good things are happening. So many good things. Michelle, I don't know that I put a lot of information on the gathering of communities for November 24th.
There's more to come on that, but there's a coalition, I'm into coalitions, okay? A coalition of community organizations that are centered around youth. And they are having a event on November 22nd that is being planned by the young people, and it's called Gathering of Communities. And we will have we don't know yet what their workshops are going to be or anything like that. They will tell us. The youth will tell us, but we'll get a flyer out to you on that
Yeah.
day.
Well, thank you. I want to say thank you all for sharing your time, your space. And it's our hope that there is something that you're able to take from this and start to bake it deeper into your personal journey or your organization. I hope to see you all at the next campfire next month. Until then, be well, stay safe, and take care. You all be well.